the insect world, honeybees have the most complicated society of any other insect. The term is they're eusocial insects. There is one queen. In the summer, you may have anything up to 40, 50,000 workers, and there will be several hundred drones.
Bees are very hard working. All the attention of the worker bees is looking after the queen, looking after the eggs, feeding the larvae.
They carry the pollen in a pollen sac on their back leg, so you can see as they fly in, you can see little bags. They behave with amazing intelligence, and yet they have tiny brains.
I view bees as very intelligent. I think they're very smart. They know when they're building the wax to build the cells at an angle so that the honey doesn't drip out. They know the hexagon shape is the strongest, most base effective use of the wax.
Well, the importance of honeybees is pollination, really. That's their main function. It's not to produce honey for us, it's to pollinate plants. Most of your soft fruits are pollinated by honeybees, like strawberries and blackcurrants, raspberries. If there weren't any natural pollinators, these fruits would disappear.
I mean, honeybees aren't the only pollinators, obviously. Things like bumblebees and hoverflies, various other insects pollinate, but honeybees do a huge amount of pollination and they're vital to the environment.
Well, the biggest challenge now is the varroa mite. It came from the Far East and it's a parasitic mite, and it lived quite happily along with the bees. But when it was brought back to the European bees, it breeds out of all proportion and it destroys the colony within about 3 years.
I came back to UK about 30 years ago. Then beekeeping here was relatively simple. As the years have gone on, the environment has changed. The bees are subjected to more diseases, and the weather is, well, the summers are nowhere near as good as they used to be, and consequently honey production has taken a knock.
There's a lot of threats to bees. I mean, there's things like farming practices in parts of the country, in like Norfolk, you get acres and acres of monoculture. Well, that's no good for bees. It's like having an endless supply of McDonald's, but only for 2 weeks of the year. Bees need a huge, need a wide range. So I think farming practices are a threat to bees currently.
The individual chemicals that farmers use are not harmful to bees, they're all tested. But what they've found is the bees get a cocktail of different ones, and it's the cocktail of chemicals that are the problem.
I think everybody can encourage bees by planting open flowered plants in their gardens. I think farmers can be encouraged not to cut hedges, not cut verges as well, to give bees more habitat.
We can help save them by getting more people involved. That's really, more beekeepers means more bees, because the honeybees now in the environment have died off. It's only the ones that beekeepers have that are available for pollinating crops, because they're the only ones that are getting treated against the varroa mite. You could come along to the beekeeping meetings. They're open to the public, especially at Walby. Have open meetings, and you can get hands-on experience. And talking to other beekeepers, you'll learn a lot.
There are apparently fewer wild bees, feral bees, that are not surviving. So beekeepers are quite key in this at the moment, I think, in sustaining their bees, looking after them. I think it was Florence Nightingale said that her first aim was to do her patients no harm, and that's what I'm trying to do first for my bees, is not harm them. When you look in the hive and find it's all healthy, and you see young bees and you see eggs and larvae, You see the stores, you see the bees calm inside the hive. Just something really rather wonderful about it. And they are so fascinating. They're amazing.
It's a very satisfying hobby. You're out in the fresh air, you're getting exercise, you meet lots of interesting people.
I've been keeping bees 20 years and I just love bees. I just think they've changed my life. I've met so many nice people through keeping bees, made really good friends all over the world. The thing I probably find most satisfying is just having bees in the garden. I'm not particularly bothered about producing honey, but I do harvest the wax. The wax needs to be changed, on a regular basis. So I use the wax for making different products. And I also do painting with beeswax using a travel iron. It's an ancient art called encaustic art.
There's an awful lot of publicity about, the bees are dying and things. Actually, I think the number of amateur beekeepers like me have probably gone up. And I think there's so much research going into the causes of it. There are a lot of threats, but yes, I'm fairly optimistic.
I think beekeepers are eternal optimists. I think you have to be, because we have so many challenges with the weather, with the different diseases that the bees get. But there is a lot of research going on, loads of PhD students working on different ways of treating the viruses that the bees are getting. So I think, yes, I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful.
Well, I always tell people now that if you get into beekeeping and you enjoy it, you're hooked for the rest of your life. And I can't imagine giving up beekeeping.